How's it feel like to be out here as a head coach?
It feels great. Just being with these guys all winter, watching them train. It was really awesome to see all their work, come to something. It's not the end, right? But it's the start. And I think just for them to be able to play football today and me being able to be their head coach is pretty special.
What does it feel like for you to be out here as the head guy instead of a position coach?
Yeah, I mean, it was lonely during Indy, just wandering around, seeing everybody else do their work. But it feels great just to know that I'm in a place that I'm so well supported by our players, our support staff, our admin, and obviously all of our supporters in the Vandal family. So it was definitely a blessing and an honor to come out, walking out as the head man today, for sure.
What would you like to get done this spring? What are the goals?
Number one, stay healthy. Keep all our guys healthy, ready to take the end of the fall. I think we've got a really good roster, especially with our returning players. Keeping those guys healthy is critical. And then just really finding out some of those tight position battles. We've got a bunch of competition, obviously, at O-line. Right? I think we've got about 12 or 13 guys that could legitimately play a ton for us. Obviously, the quarterback position, want to see who's going to emerge as the starter there. A couple spots, at linebacker on defense, defensive end, just kind of seeing those position battles come to fruition. See who will at least be the starters coming into fall camp, I think is really critical. And then just continuing to instill the culture that we want to continue to build here, where every day is an opportunity to get better, but you only get one. Right? Having some urgency about us throughout spring camp.
With regard to culture, how useful is it to have seniors like as a party like Cummings,
oh my gosh,
guys that were with you before?
Yeah, I mean, having guys like that know me so well on an individual level, know my passion for the program, how important the Vandals are to me, is huge, right? Because now they're echoing our message in the locker room every day. Right. For example, we had a situation I kind of had to get after one of our younger O-linemen, and Nate goes, "Hey, coach, don't worry about it. I'll talk with him after practice." And just knowing that those guys have my back is huge.
And in terms of staying healthy, I see that Cox and Liam, are you holding them out all spring, or are they going to be out here?
Yeah, they've got some injuries that'll probably take a little bit more time, in terms of getting them to full speed. Those guys have played a lot of football. Obviously, right. Jake's played a ton. Charlie had a full year as a starter back in 23. So we feel pretty good about them mentally and knowing that they can get it done. So I think their focus is just, getting healthy and feeling full speed so we can get into fall camp with those guys healthy.
So they're not going to be participating?
Yeah, I don't see those guys going this spring, no, unless something really changed. But I think that our plan with them is to keep them on the shelf, get them a bunch of mental reps, and have them ready to go for the fall.
Did anybody stand out for you today?
Yeah, I mean, there was a ton of guys that kind of stood out to me today. Obviously, Eli Cummings ran the football really well. Some O-linemen really stood out to me today, I think, as a group more than anything. Obviously, Nate as a party, kind of leader of that group. He looked really good today. He's a little lighter than he was a year ago, so I think he's a little bit more fleet of foot. He looked really fluid today. I thought Nathan Knappich took some strides today. He looked really good on the offensive line. Receivers-wise, there's a bunch of guys that I think are going to help us this year. Tony Harsty had a good day. Marquand McCraney had a good day. A guy that is going to be someone that I think you're going to know about sooner than later is Davion Super-Alice. He's a guy that joined our program at mid-year this year at a Graham Kapowson over there in Western Washington. Was actually a high school quarterback. But he looked good in some one-on-ones. He's got some really good speed. So fired up about him. In terms of other guys defensively, I thought Sam Brown stood out with his physicality. Braxton Lawrence is another edge guy, a young guy that I'm fired up about. He had some plays today. Matthias McLean, another guy on the edge, really stood out. I mean, there was so many guys to me that really flashed today, but those are probably the guys that come to mind as far as day one today.
Speed brings up an interesting point. You've coached in this league. You know what it takes to win in this league. This is a fast league.
Everybody can run. Yep.
Are you in good shape with that?
Yeah, I feel really good about our team speed. I think Coach Cooper has done an awesome job with our off-season program, just getting our guys more efficient. Obviously in the winter you're not doing as much like speed training, but you're really doing movement training, and seeing those guys' efficiency has really kind of improved that speed. And so I'm really looking forward to those guys to continue to develop. But I do like the team speed right now. I think we have a fast group running around, especially in the skill positions.
are any of those skill positions kind of setting themselves in order yet, or not? Any?
I think that running back room, you got 3 guys that played a ton.
Yeah.
Where those guys finish, it'll be up for question. But I think obviously Eli has so much experience, and he just seems to have a really good feel for it right now. So he looks really good. Could definitely be a guy that to see a ton of carries this year. That receiver room is pretty deep. It's very talented, but it is young. So seeing where those guys end up will be interesting. But I do think we've probably got about 6 or 7 guys that can really go. I think, obviously in the skilled positions, we want to see some of those battles be won. But I do think we've got a lot of options.
And I guess it wouldn't be an interview if I didn't ask about quarterbacks.
Right, of course. Those guys are really talented as a group. I think top down, 1 through 4, no matter how you slice it, everybody has talent. Everybody's continuing to clean up their technique. We're doing some stuff that's a little bit different than we were doing before with that position. So I think from a technical aspect, they got to keep improving. I thought Nick Josephick looked good today, made some really good decisions with the football, kind of took what he gave him. Obviously, Wag's got a bunch of arm talent, and so you saw a couple throws in 7-on that were pretty impressive. Obviously, the battle wasn't won today. There's a long way to go for spring ball, but I feel really good about that room. We have a talented group, so whoever emerges out of that room will be a really good football player.
Without giving away trade secrets, if you're doing things a bit differently with the quarterbacks, like what?
I think more than anything, it's footwork stuff. Just changing our footwork in some of our run game, doing stuff a little bit different with our drops. Nothing crazy, but definitely some nuance that I think you'll see that position improve on throughout spring.